Hey, everybody, welcome to this will be actually episode 2 of the Kaizen Way podcast. I'm Derek Day, and it's going to be episode 2 because I'm going to do another episode that actually level sets what Kaizen is and why Kaizen is important to you in terms of incrementing small changes that will yield big results. And as I've mentioned before many times in the Kaizen moments during the week, that Kaizen is a Japanese word that means continuous improvement. And it's a compound word consisting of K A I, which means change, and Zen, Z E N, which means good. In other words, change is good. And the more you are willing to adopt and implement change in your life. And again, small changes, because big changes, and we're going to have a whole discussion about why small changes versus big changes. But just to level set, small changes are the ones that yield the big results. And today, what I want to talk about in this episode 2 is how to eliminate words of uncertainty, because words of uncertainty will sabotage your manifestation. They will undo whatever it is that's in your heart and your mind to do, to bring to pass. It will absolutely derail it. And so let's start with a manifestation rule of thumb, shall we? And that is this: to speak in inevitability, not possibility. Again, let me say that again. I want you to speak in inevitability, not possibility. Your language should sound like a decision that's already made, a process that's already underway, or an outcome that's already rehearsed. In other words, you are saying what your state is expected to be as it is right now. In other words, you're saying that the change that you want is already happening or has already happened. So that's the way you want to speak. And the first word that we want to get rid of in this is try. Yoda in Star Wars said, "There is no try, only do." So watch this. Why does try sabotage you? Why does it weaken you? It pre-negotiates failure. And so instead of saying I'll try, let's replace that with I will, or I am doing. I will, or I am doing. There is no try, only do. The second one is hope. Now, I'd responded to a comment on one of my posts on Facebook earlier regarding hope. And hope, it's good to have hope, but it's not good to lean on hope. It's not good to lean into hope, because hope assumes that a possibility of failure. It outsources power to chance, and you don't want to do that. Instead of saying I hope it works out, say this: say I expect, or I'm creating. I expect, or I'm creating. Let's get rid of hope. And while we're here, I also want to get rid of pray. And again, this is not to dump on any religion or anything like that. But again, if you're praying, you're not speaking with confidence, you're hoping for an outcome. And so basically, you're tying your words to hope. You're leaning into hope instead of saying what you expect. Because what we want to deal with here are expectations and not exceptions. Because if you're waiting for a miracle, quote unquote, then that's an exception. That's something it's a one-off, or it doesn't happen frequently. It doesn't happen with repetition. It's not tangible, measurable, or repeatable. So again, let's take out hope and replace that with certainty. I expect, or I am creating. The next word is maybe. Maybe is a dream killer. It signals indecision to your brain, and you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to speak with confidence, because the universe honors certainty. The universe honors clarity. And when you speak with certainty and you speak with clarity, the universe honors what you put forth. And you got to be careful, because that works both in a positive way and a negative way. If you say that I know something bad is going to happen, guess what? You probably will. So instead of saying maybe someday, let's say I've decided, or I choose. I've decided, or I choose. Let's get rid of maybe. Maybe is and let me say this too. I got to say this because I have to check my words because I'm guilty of a lot of these. I'm guilty of try, I'm guilty of maybe, and I'm guilty of the next one in particular. But one of the things that I do, or I'm tempted to say, is to call these weasel words. And I don't want to do that because I don't want to speak in condemnation. What we want to speak is in love and in confidence, right? So what we're doing here is we're putting things in place to help build up our confidence, to build up our resolve, to make our dreams manifest. So the next word, and this is one of my favorite, is if. I'll say if all the time. If. And if conditions your belief. It conditions your belief in a negative way. You say, instead of saying if this happens, say when this happens, or this will happen. Change how you look at things. Don't look at things as though they were possibilities. Look at them as if they are expectations, that you know, that you have confidence that this is what's going to happen. So let's go to the next one. Wish. Wish goes with hope, and it goes with prayer. And it's this is like, basically, when you wish, it keeps your desire abstract and passive. And you say things, I wish I could. But let's replace that with I'm building, or I'm learning. Instead of saying I'm wishing for an outcome, say I'm building an outcome, or I'm learning what it takes to build this outcome. Don't leave it to chance. We want to make sure that your desires are concrete and not abstract. And you want to make sure they're active and not passive. Okay. The next one is someday. Someday weakens you because it is infinite delay disguised as optimism. It's infinite delay disguised as optimism. Listen, it's good to be optimistic, but it's not good to push your optimism off into the future, into the sweet by and by. And a lot of times we'll say, well, someday I'll, or someday this, or someday that. But instead of that, instead of saying the someday, let's say this season, this year, now. Let's change how we're thinking about time, because all of your manifestation, whatever it is that's in your heart or in your mind, with harm to no one, exists right now. It may not exist in three-dimensional space, but it exists in your mind. And we've talked about this before, that when you are thinking of a masterpiece, whether it be a painting, whether it be a piece of music, whether it be a sculpture, that when you're thinking about this, it begins to exist the moment that you think about it. The difference is some people have learned to go into the mine of their mind to extract the raw material of building what it is they were trying to manifest. So we want to get away from someday. And the next one is probably undercut certainty in mid-sentence. Undercut certainty in mid-sentence. You don't want to deal with probably. Instead of saying I'll probably do it, or it'll probably happen, say I'm committed to it, or I'm committed that it will happen. I'm committed to this coming to pass. I'm certain that this is going to happen. I'm certain that this is going to come to pass. You have to change your language, the language that you speak. And again, language basically kind of sets what it helps to add substance to what your thoughts are. So you have to change your words. You really, really have to think about this. And the next one is hopefully. Hopefully is another dream killer. And you're giving power away to the universe. Instead of receiving power, you're giving your power away. You're ceding your power, right? So you don't want to do that. So instead of saying hopefully things change, say I'm taking action to change things. Make it active, make it concrete. I'm taking action, or I know that this will happen. I know that this is coming to pass. You have to change your words, and changing your words is an outgrowth of changing your thinking, which leads us to the next one is I think. I think is one of these ones. I remember when I was learning how to write persuasively. I was in college, and I would say I feel, and my college English professor, he would say, don't say I feel, say I think. But I think also can be a thing that will soften your conviction. And instead of being persuasive, instead of being concrete, instead of being decisive, it's passive. So instead of saying, I think I can, replace it with, I know, or I'm confident. And there's an old saying that I believe it was ascribed to Henry Ford. He said, if you think you can, you might. If you think you can't, you're right. So thinking has a lot to do with it, but what you want to do is you want to think with conviction. You want to think with certainty. That's how you want to align your thoughts with certainty, not passivity, not uncertainty. The next one is I'll see. I'll see avoids ownership. And you want to own not only your thoughts, not only your words, but you want to own these things because these are the things that will bring your dream, what is in your heart and your mind, into pass into 3D reality. You don't want to say I'll see because again you're avoiding ownership. So instead of saying I'll see what happens, say I'll decide or I'll act. I'll decide or I'll act. I'll make this happen. That's what we want to do. We don't want to say, I'll see. And the next one is, this is a favorite of a lot of people, is I guess, I guess, I guess shrugs responsibility. It cedes responsibility to something or someone else. And you don't want to guess, you want to know. You want to know, you want to have certainty because again, the universe is going to respect your certainty, whether it's certainty that you have what you say you have or that you don't. The universe will honor your words. So instead of saying, well, I guess this is fine, replace that with, I choose this. I choose that. I choose to do this. Don't get caught up in being uncertain. Be confident. Your words have power. Your words are containers, and they are containers of whatever it is that you want. The next one is possibly, possibly. And this is another good one because quantum physics operates on probability. In other words, that it could be several possible things depending on observation or other conditions. But there's a difference between probability and possibility. And what we want to do is we want to get to the probability. It alludes that there is a certainty of a number of different outcomes. And I know that may not make sense, but I'll let you marinate on that. But the thing is, we want to get away from possibly. We want to say, instead of saying this could possibly work or I could possibly do this, say this works or I'm making this work. I'm making this happen. Positive, concrete, decisive words. The next one is I'll try my best. And this is one where we're always taught to just do your best. Just do your best. And that's true. You want to do your best, but what you want to do is you want to change the framework and how you say that. You want to change the framing of doing your best. Instead of saying, I'll try my best, say, I'll follow through. I'll follow through. Follow through instead of trying your best, because you may still be trying, but what you're doing is you're adding a positive, decisive framework to your attempt. The next one is not sure. Not sure signals distrust in yourself. Don't listen. I'm going to tell you something. If you choose to believe in anything, believe in yourself first. Believe in yourself first. Believe that you have the answer. Believe that you have the ability. Believe that you have what it takes to bring this to pass. You have to believe that first, because if you don't believe in yourself, all of these words you may speak positively, but your emotions are radiating negativity into the universe, and you don't want to do that. Okay. So instead of saying, not sure, I'm not sure, say, I'm figuring it out. I'm working through it. That's more positive. That's more decisive. Never leave. Well, let me say this. Don't, if you're going to have uncertainty, don't let it be in yourself. Okay. And finally, can't. And you got to be careful about this, because if you don't have the education, you can't, and the practical experience, you can't do brain surgery. So you have to be careful with this. But what you want to do is, when can't means fear and not fact, that's when you want to take can't out of the equation, and you want to replace it with something more positive, more affirming. So instead of saying, I can't do that, replace that with, I haven't learned that yet. I haven't learned it yet. And listen, one of the things that we need to do is we need to have like a power reframe, or changing of the guardrails, if you will. Instead of saying, I hope things work out, say, I'm aligning my actions with the outcome I expect. Instead of saying, I'll try, say, this is happening and I'm adjusting as I go. These are things that we can do on a daily basis, and they're small changes. They're little things. The Kaizen principle absolutely applies to all of this, because if you will implement these small changes in how you think and how you speak, this will change how your manifestation happens, and you will begin to see results. They may be small results, and you may overlook them. They may not be visible to you immediately, but guess what? When you are making small changes, things are happening, and you don't want to lose sight of that. Don't give up. Don't give up. That's the big thing. So I know that this is all good stuff, that this is all a blessing. I don't say I hope it will be, or I think it is. It is. This is good shit. And if you will take it and apply it in your life, I promise you that you will see some fantastic things happen. Remember this, right? That if you improve yourself just 1% each day, at the end of the year, how much have you improved yourself? Well, you would think that it's 365%, but it isn't. It's actually much more than that, because there is a compounding aspect to it. Because day one, you're increasing 1%. So you're going from 1% to 2%. And again, you go to 2%, and so on and so forth. And what this creates is a snowball effect, and your improvement happens exponentially. And all because you just took some little steps, baby steps. Baby steps took you to the big dance. And I promise you, I'm seeing this happen in my own life. I've seen it happen in the lives of others. I've studied this out, and this works. It works. But you have to be courageous and certain enough to try it, to attempt it. Let's say attempt, not try. As we just said, we're eliminating try from the vocabulary. Just do it. As Nike said, just do it. So, this podcast will soon be launched on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, every place where you can find good podcasts. And in episode 1, which will follow this episode 2, I'll talk about the Kaizen principles and the 4 S's and why that's important. And in the meantime, if you want to learn more about me and what I do and how I can help, because I'm a servant to all, visit me at derekeday.com. That's www.derekeday.com. Come and check me out, see what I do. I would love to hear from you. Love to see your comments here in the chat. And in the meantime, keep moving forward, keep improving a little day by day.